Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. Yes, it's still Snow Talk for now. I'll explain in just a second. It's really cool to look from the GOES 16. You can actually see images here picking up on the snowpack, the cold ground from that snow that we had yesterday that passed through wave country. Pretty cool. Look at our snow stats, 17.9 now. Well, that changed in a hurry, didn't it? 12.1 is where we normally should be to date. Obviously way above normal, and considering that we maxed out an average for a winter season of 12.5, we will be above normal for the season. And last year, of course, we blew that out of the water a long time ago. So what is next? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Tomorrow will actually feature an increasing amount of cloud cover. We do have a warm front moving our way. At the same time, there's a fairly strong high in the northeast part of the country that is going to try to counteract that and provide for a good easterly flow. And we can see this. Notice the wind arrows as we head into Friday night. Here comes the rain shield, and then we get into the wee hours of Saturday morning. Now we're dealing with the warm air moving in aloft from the southwest. The wind arrows here are surface wind, so the surface flow is a colder flow moving in from the east. So the question is, how much of that cold layer that we have now is going to be overpowered by the southwest wind and become a warm layer? That makes a big difference on whether or not you see all rain or freezing rain, or all snow, in some cases heavy snow. And I think all of those are possible in this kind of a setup. But usually these kind of setups are not fine-tuned until the very last 6 to 12 hours before the event. They're very difficult to forecast in advance because you change 1 or 2 degrees anywhere along that path of the atmosphere and you've got a completely different outcome. And the models right now are just guessing, basically. They're estimating what they think is more likely. They're not always exactly right, of course. These are just tools we use. These models are. But as meteorologists, we have to look at this and account for the X factor that could take place in this. So that's why we're going to have to approach this with a lot of caution as we get into Saturday morning. Now, this is the RPM's idea. See, it's got the rain band, the eastern flow, then it switches over to the heavy snow fairly quick. And this is just like we saw yesterday. This is a heavy snow band that will form the leading edge. Now, it's got an impact in part of Jefferson County, with Carrollton and North Vernon picking up the brunt of that, and then a cold heavy rain south of that, and then there's the warm front in southern Kentucky. Notice how persistent it is with that snow band. That east flow just beats into it most of the day and tries to keep it fairly steady in the snow. Now I know other models have that snow band, by the way, closer to Kings Island than they do here, but you get the idea of where some of these models are placing it. And again, heavy rain where it's all rain. It may be 36, 37 degrees and pure rain coming down, and a miserable cold rain at that. Horrible timing for the Road City run coming up for tomorrow morning, by the way. Now, the warm front's interesting because with that low pressure moving in, there could actually be some thunder and lightning, maybe some gusty winds. Can't rule out a strong thunderstorm right now. We're thinking it's closer to the land between the lakes and Nashville to be in that zone. But even a couple of our southern counties may fit into that warm sector briefly to allow for that. It's a possibility. But the reason why I mention that is it's fairly dramatic setup from one end of wave country to the other. And then as precipitation eases, it may end as a bit of snow as we get colder air to work its way in. But I think it may be more drizzle than anything. All right, so the Weather Service, of course, paying attention to this. Both offices out of Indianapolis and Wilmington, Ohio, Cincinnati, have already issued winter storm watches. It does not include any of our counties, but it does bump up against our counties, which it means confidence is at least high enough that they'll see a significant snow event in these counties. What I suspect is going to happen, we're going to have a winter weather advisory. It's going to go like this, kind of surrounding the southern edge here of the winter storm watch. How much of that of wave country goes under advisory, I can't tell you yet, but that's my suspicion is what we're going to see once we get a little bit closer in time. Weather Service has, locally, Louisville office has another really 24-hour period before they have to really focus in on that. So here's why I think it is trending. Heavy snow band just on the edge of wave country, mainly for Cincinnati. The snow zone is possible all the way down to northern Jefferson County. I'm going to keep that as something we need to watch. Even if it's a couple of hours of snow, you could still go to all rain, but you still will get a couple of hours of heavy wet snow. Then heavy rain locally, and then maybe some thunder in our far southern counties. Here's the sounding from the GFS looking from Louisville. And this, again, this is the line, the dashed line that matters, the freezing line. And notice when the red line is temperature, green is moisture in the atmosphere, and this is where we are, and this is where, like, up here where airplanes fly. So you're looking at the atmosphere sideways, and you can see how much of the atmosphere is to the right of the zero or above freezing. So it's just enough of a warm layer that, yes, this is all snow that falls, but it hits that warmer layer and then becomes a raindrop once it falls closer to the ground. again, that's for Louisville. Here's the NAM sounding, the high-res NAM for the same period. Now, the NAM is a bit colder, but still has just enough of the warm layer here. You can see the wind arrows, the southwest flow, it's winning out, and then you got your more northwest flow, kind of loft kind of kicking in. But you can see how it's keeping enough there that it melts into a raindrop. Now, when you look at just a couple of counties away from Jefferson County, this is Louisville. Now let's go to Jefferson County, Indiana, and just that small difference of moving that temperature line either along or just west of the freezing line makes a difference of producing heavy snow for Jefferson County, Indiana. And this would be several inches potentially in a quick burst. That close of a difference. It's fairly remarkable, actually. Even the Shreff ensembles, there's not many yet to pull from. They range from right now, which should average of barely anything, to as much as 3.5 inches of snow. So the models are struggling still with this. Not surprising. The Weather Service offices, Indianapolis has got some accumulated snow across Jennings County, and Wilmington, Cincinnati's got at least an advisory level of snow for Carroll and parts of Gallatin County. Not far from Owen County as well. In fact, Louisville even has some minor accumulation across Trimble, Jefferson County, and Henry County. It's interesting how it's drawn around Jefferson County, Indiana. But again, I have a feeling this may feel a little more, so that's why I think we could see an advisory level event once we get a little closer for our northern counties. Interesting enough, the Euro probability, the ensembles from the Euro, indicate a 48% chance of at least an inch of snow in Louisville, and then it goes up pretty high, up the 71 corridor. Now, the GFS model, for those of you who've been paying attention to that, it's more north of Cincinnati in some cases. So not every model agrees yet, but this is the zone we need to watch out for as we get into Saturday morning for any potential impacts. Then after that, we're going to deal with a wet pattern as we head into next week. The NAO is forecast to go negative as we head into April, which is going to allow for a slow, blocky pattern next week. It may be warm at times, but rainy. The stalled pattern may form daily rain chances, and there's signs we may get a low that'll kind of just drift near Easter right over our area, provide for rain. So could we be back to a flooding setup as we head into April? Let's hope not, but with all the snow we've had as of late and this potential wet pattern, it is certainly a possibility, and it deserves our attention, and we will keep an eye on it. So stay tuned for updates on the weekend system as we get a bit closer in time. Otherwise, enjoy the snow melt today.